You're listening to One Bright Star's Life After Loss, a podcast that's focused on the lifelong journey of life after loss, with your hosts Erica Fisher and Alicia Moore. One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholtz and Associates. And now, One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast.
Hello and welcome to One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast. I'm Erica Fisher, Executive Director for One Bright Star.
And Alicia Moore, President of One Bright Star.
And today we have Dena. Hi Dena, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You reached out to me, which I was super thrilled about because you wanted to share your loss and your grief journey. In 2019, you lost your daughter Cassie.
Yes. On April 19th, she was stillborn at about 28 weeks, almost 29 weeks. The most beautiful little girl you could ever imagine. You know, she had my toes and her, you know, and just looked just like her brother. And I felt like it was important to share her story and my story, not only because it helps me, but also other moms that have had stillborn, because it's something that happens common. And nobody seems to talk about it. And I never knew anybody that had had a stillborn before that happened. And I think it's important to kind of break that mold a little bit and let people know that it's okay to talk about your babies.
Yeah.
It's okay to share. And
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You want to remember Cassie.
Yes.
Cassie, she is your little daughter, like you said, your sweet baby girl. And when she was born, were you able to do pictures? Were you able to hold her? What were some of the things that you were able to do or you wished you would have been able to do?
That's a great question, because when you're in the moment, you don't think about, you know, I should have given her a bath, or I should have done this or that. And that was something I wish, as I was walking away, I wish I would have given her a bath, or you know, put clothes on her and done all the things you would normally do with an infant. But when you're there, you're so, it's almost like a out of body experience. That's kind of how I think of it. You're present and you're there, but you're not there.
You're not there. Yes.
But I remember not wanting any pictures, and I remember almost kind of like I just didn't want to remember the day. And my mom pushed me to have Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep come. And so we had a photographer come. Oh. And I love those pictures now. And, you know, I want to show them off. And they're beautiful. And I think it's important to show them off because it normalizes, this is my baby. This is the only pictures I have. And I want to share.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. I remember a few other moms that I've talked to that have had stillborn babies, and I think have had kind of the same reaction as far as not wanting pictures, not wanting to do anything, yes. And whether it be family, it's wonderful, or nurses, recommending that they do that, and then hindsight, they are extremely grateful because, as Absolutely. You said, it's the only, not memory, but it's the only picture. Those are the memories that you have, yes. And those are so special.
It is. It took me a little while to look at them, and when I was ready, you know, you have your moment, and, you know, of course you shed some tears, but now I'm in a place, you know, two years later, where it brings me more joy than sadness when I see her up on my wall. And I have a little son, Clayton, who knows that that's his sister Cassie, and I think it's easier for kids to talk about their sibling when they have something visual to look at. And so I always recommend, I always recommend, I'm her mommy, and I want to show her off. And so even if the person that sees a post or sees a card, doesn't know that that's representative of Cassie, at least I know.
Yes.
And I just think it's important because as your earthly children grow up, they're going to know about, you know, Cassie or their other sibling. And so it's important to kind of maybe lay that foundation early on of how to deal with grief, because we all experience it.
Right. That's wonderful. That is, that seems so healing, and I can tell just when you talk and you light up talking about Cassie, that is so wonderful that you are able to do that. And that's what you should do, is you should be so proud too. Yes. And you started, or tell us about the cradle. You have a little story with that. Yes.
So when I had Cassie, I noticed that maybe there was a need for something that parents can hold their children, in the hospital that is less shocking,
Right.
Because people don't really want to talk about that aspect, but, it's real, and your child over time is going to look different. And so I thought having something there that can prolong your visit with your baby, maybe have grandparents come and see them, would be wonderful. And I happened to just be on the internet Googling things, and I saw the carrying cradle, which sparked my interest because it was purple, and I associate purple with Cassie.
Oh, that's neat.
And I read up on it, and I'm like, this is so wonderful. We need this here.
Right.
And it looks just like a cradle. It's not shocking. It's not
Medically looking.
no,
Yeah.
not at all. And so I decided, that's what I'm going to do. And I sold tumblers to raise funds for it. And in doing so, I think that it kind of opened up a door with other people to talk about stillbirth. And then I met a gal that had her son, Max, was stillborn. And so we kind of connected and went with it. And yeah.
That's wonderful. And tell us about the tumblers. I'm just going to jump to those quickly because I did see a picture and they looked really neat.
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw those too. Yeah.
I was on, a grief page, and a mom had one done, and I was like, wow, that is so cool that you can have, we all have coffee. You guys have your tumblers here, and just something that reminds you of your baby or whatever you want on it. And I was like, I want one, and I was like, what? I could make these.
Oh, God, you're creative. I love it.
And I Googled and put some stuff together with my husband, some turners, and it kind of just took off from there. Everybody loves glitter.
I do.
That's neat. And what did you put on the tumbler?
Whatever anybody wanted. I've had a lot of people do memorial ones where they had pictures of lost loved ones, or my favorite is the Northern Lights one. It's just whatever somebody wants to order, and I try my best to achieve that for them.
We should get some One Bright Star ones.
We should. We should have a few
definitely.
ordered. That would be great. And then you took those proceeds and put those towards purchasing the carrying cradle.
Yeah, yes. I kept whatever I needed to kind of get the products, and then everything else went into an account, and I went from there. And it went really fast. I was so surprised, of the excitement from people, and then just meeting people that said, I've had a miscarriage in the past, or this or that, and just, it was really healing for me to
That's great.
to stay busy. And,
yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was really neat when you had said that was how you managed your grief, because you stayed busy, a purpose, and you just pushed forward in memory and honor of Cassie.
I kept saying to myself, I just wanted to make her proud, or to emulate what I would have wanted to teach her. As she grew
That's
up.
amazing.
That's really neat. Yes.
I think you've done that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So when you got the cradle, I can't even imagine how the nurses and like the birthing area, how was that received?
Really well. It was nice to, I met a couple of nurses that I remember were with me with Cassie, and so they were so amazing, and I will always remember them. And, seeing their faces again, and then presenting that, and with the other family I had connected with, Nicole Van Siegel and her family, and just,
we love that family.
Yeah, they're awesome. So just being able to do it with my family too, and just knowing that it's going to be used for good.
Yes, you did that in memory of your babies, and you know how much it's going to help other families so that they have more time. And you have some really neat thoughts, obviously, and ideas. After going through it, you learn absolutely the hardest lesson when you have to go through something like that. And do the nurses, I take it maybe they're really good about assisting when this happens and giving you space and time, and then encouraging and having the opportunity for the photos. And
they were so amazing, and they cried with us, and they just, I think they knew what I was capable of in the moment, and helped me along with that. My nurse Mary, who I just love her so much, she sat with me and explained to me, about the funeral, and we need to contact the funeral home, and I was like, wait a minute, I have to do that. And it's just, so amazing that they were able to know which nurse to give me, and then to help us through that.
Absolutely. That's great, because that is
That
the most
compassion,
remote
yeah.
thing, yes, on your mind is when you go to the hospital to have your baby, or you go in and then having to talk about a funeral. They really need to get you to the right people, and that's wonderful. And
they did amazing. And I think, when people think about loss, like you had said, when you don't see the baby, in person, people forget that you gave birth, and it is a birthing story, and you want to share that birthing story, whether it be sad or happy. It's still your journey.
It is your journey, and I love that you use that terminology. That's one of my favorite in life and loss, and a journey. It's all a journey, and your own journey,
and that journey can be so different from one person to the next, one parent to the next. When you, after you left the hospital, I thought about this when I was driving in. How difficult, or maybe how did you handle it, Dena, when you would go out in public after you gave birth to Cassie, so people know that you're expecting, and then she does not survive the birth, and people see you and they're saying, "Oh, congratulations," or whatever, and then you have to say, I don't know how you handled that.
I took a couple days, and then it was Easter, and so I decided, this would be an appropriate time for me to share on social media.
Okay.
That she's in heaven, and I felt like it was a good, where I didn't have to see people face to face, but I could share, and then if they wanted to reach out, they could, and so I think that helped a lot.
I bet.
Was just doing it that way. And then when people would ask, this is the dreaded question that people, us moms get asked, is how many kids do you have?
Oh, yes.
And that's, we've had so many discussions, me and some other angel moms. How do you handle that?
Yes.
And, something that we kind of decided was, it just depends on who it is. Do you want to share that story with that person or not? It doesn't make you any less of a mom to your angel baby. But, another thing that we say is I have 2 earthly children and 1 in heaven. And so just trying to figure out ways that you feel comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's all about the moment.
Yeah.
Who it is you're talking to, what you want to share, because it's yours to share.
Yes.
And whether you want to let them know about how special Cassie's birth was, that's absolutely up to you.
Yeah, it just depends on, who you're meeting. Is this somebody that you want to dig down deep and talk about it? Is it going to hurt you more to do that?
Right, because they may not receive it well. I think it's wonderful when you say that, that she's in heaven. I have my earthly children in heaven, because that gives you so much hope. Yes. And your angel babies.
And you're still able to acknowledge I think that's so amazing. Amazing.
That's really important. That's really healthy. But it also gives other parents, whether they've been through it or know people that have gone through it, or maybe they're expecting, and that's so scary. I mean, you often hear people, what are you having, or whatever they ask, and they always just say, I just pray that the baby's healthy, because people appreciate how important that is. But yet, you also give hope to people that if they go through that unimaginable tragedy of losing their baby and not even be able to take that baby home from the hospital, that there are really good things that come from that. And it's not like you forget the baby.
No.
There
is joy after. And, it's taken me, now that's been 2 years, there are moments where you have your moment, but you can still smile and you can still find beautiful things around you. And I think that's really important to know.
Right.
And I remember right after I lost Cassie, that was like the last thing I wanted to hear, is that there's good that will come.
Yes.
But it is good to know that is something that can happen in the future.
That's great.
You give people hope.
You do. Mm-hmm. You're really insightful. Very wise person, because I'm like, wow.
I'm not always speechless, but I'm like, I'm pretty much in awe of you right now.
Oh, well, thank you.
Wow.
You are just an amazing mom. There's a special reason why Cassie was fortunate to have you as her mom. And so it's, yeah, it's so hard to make sense out of some of these things, but Clay and Charlie are super lucky too, because they have an awesome sister. But to see Mom, and I'm sure your husband, because you are, you seem to be dealing and coping so well and so positively that that's just so good for the kids and for the family in general.
I think so. And I think that talking about my grief and, my husband's grief is healthy for our children to help them learn how to deal with, because life's not perfect.
Right.
And
No.
everybody's going to experience something. Yeah, and so to teach him how to deal with it, but not let it, ruin your whole life. And for me, it's just, I just want Cassie to be proud of what I'm doing. And I don't, and I've said this before, I just don't want her memory to be a sad memory, because there was times that we smiled. She would kick and she would move and she would do funny things. And so that's what I want to remember.
That's really sweet. I like that when you say you don't want her memory to be a sad one.
Yeah.
That, and I just think all these wonderful things that you're doing. And that's what we, from talking to other parents, you want people to remember your child.
That's the most important thing.
Yes.
Remember and honor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is the most important thing. And I know I met with a mom a couple weeks ago, and she said, I just want them to remember my son. I want his name to be said. And that right there is exactly what any mom would want.
Yes, definitely. You like to hear people ask you about Clay, and now you've got little Charlie.
Yeah.
But you still want people to remember to ask about Cassie too.
Yeah, she was my second child.
Yes.
Charlie's not my second child.
Yes.
And so definitely when I go with moms, every mom, when you sit down for drinks, we all talk about birthing stories. And so, don't be afraid to share. And if somebody's uncomfortable, that's something they have to deal with.
Right.
You don't have
to. That's
to.
a very good point.
Shield your own experiences for other people.
Right. I strongly agree with you.
I absolutely agree too. Yes. One of the things, maybe if it will work for you, you're going to have to try to make our fall memorial service.
Yes,
this year.
Absolutely.
It's always the last weekend in September on a Sunday. I believe it's the
September 26th.
26th. Okay.
It's a beautiful event.
Is that over at your location?
Yep, at Erlinson Park at the One Bright Star Memorial. And we have, it's just a really amazing event where we can remember all of the children that were taken from us too soon. We let off doves, and they're really pigeons, but I think I like to call them doves because that sounds more elegant.
Yeah.
And you can write messages on rice paper and put it into our pond, and it kind of, just a message to,
well, that sounds beautiful.
To Cassie, and your kids can do it too, Clayton, Charlie, probably,
He'll just be along for the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see him. But I mean, it's just a beautiful day for everybody to remember, and just it's one of my favorite events, and it's so touching, and it brings us all back into why we are One Bright Star and why we are together, and that we're in this journey together, whether we've lost a child or not. We all hold hands together and just remember. And
grief
I think
is the same all the way around. Yeah, definitely. I follow you guys on Facebook, and so I did see that last year, and I just thought that was so beautiful, and it's wonderful to see how much you guys have grown. I remember when I was a child, when you guys first started, and just to see the monument and your trees out there, and
we've come a long way, and that's definitely our mission, is to to say Cassie's name and to remember Cassie and to honor her and remember everything about her. And
that's wonderful.
And so you help us achieve our mission. Definitely. You're pretty amazing.
Yes. Yes, very much so. And the thing that's really neat, I'm just going to throw that in, you mentioned that, Erica, at the memorial service, that's something that we were told by other parents, is that we announce the child's name.
I love that.
And then we have the parents come up and they want to hear their baby's name. They want to hear their child's name. And so, and we love it when the families come, and then Erica touched on the rice paper and that, but that is just one of the really special events that we have. And so when we get together, we talk about all of our kids.
All the kids.
Yes.
Yes. That's wonderful.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dena. We'd love to have you back again because I feel like there's so much more that we can talk about and that you can help us with everybody's grief journey because you handle yours amazingly and you definitely do an amazing job at carrying on Cassie, and she would be proud. Definitely.
Absolutely.
So, until next time, this is Erica Fisher
and Alicia Moore
with One Bright Stars Life After Loss podcast. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to One Bright Stars Life After Loss podcast. Life After Loss is a copyrighted production of One Bright Star. One Bright Stars Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholtz and Associates. For more information on the lifelong journey after losing a loved one, please visit our website at onebrightstar.org.